Hi there, I'm Christine Dunbar from speechmodification.com, and this is my Smart American Accent training. Welcome to our Saturday live question and answer class. Each Saturday we meet at this time, and you can type your questions in the chat. I'll answer them for you live. We also always have a topic at the beginning related to English pronunciation, intonation, or American accent to help you just with a lot of different topics. So this was requested by a viewer, and I wanted to talk about the difference between the words fell and fail. This also applies to words like tell and tale and bell and bail. We're going to look at the vowel eh and the vowel a, and particularly when they're together with the letter L, just because this can be a challenging pair of words. So first of all, in the word fell, we have the eh vowel, which is the vowel we have in the words red and tent, and many other words, of course. I use red tent as my anchor so that I can make a comparison. If I'm saying red and fell, red is not going to sound very much like fail, so it may be easier for you to hear that vowel contrast and say that correctly. The eh vowel is central, and what's important about the eh vowel is that it doesn't glide. It's one sound, eh. My tongue doesn't move as I'm saying it. So if I'm saying, I said red, I said he fell, etc., I can feel that eh sound doesn't change. Also, when I move from the eh to the L, fell, there's not a lot of glide for that L. I don't have to do fell. I don't have to really do a schwa before this L at the end. Fell in. So you can hear that it's just like, it also rhymes with L, which is how we say the letter L. So you may want to start there. L, fell, that could help you. Then when we move to ale, it has the diphthong A, which is a gliding vowel sound. So some of our vowels like eh and e and ah are just one sound, the tongue doesn't move. Diphthongs like o and a and oi are made because the tongue is moving between two positions. So when I say the a diphthong, I start more open and then I close and relax. It starts tense and with the tense e, which you may have in your language, and moves to the more lax and higher I sound. A. For most people, when they say this in words like day or say, I call this one the gray day vowel. They don't have too much trouble making that diphthong because they just naturally hold the vowel longer and close as they're finishing. Day, say. But if they're trying to say something like fail or a word like name or change, they may end up just using the eh sound from their language rather than gliding and using that diphthong. And this eh and the eh in fell are very similar. This one is just lax and this one is tense, meaning that when I say versus A is a little higher and my tongue is tense, is a little lower and my tongue is relaxed. So I would say to get the difference between fell and fail, practice just saying fay, the first part of fail, and then notice how as I say fail, there's even more gliding because I'm going to kind of a little dark schwa before my L here. Fail. So I've written it here for you with the letter Y and the letter U, so you can think about the connection, the vowel to vowel linking between the A and the before the L. Fail. This word is definitely going to be held longer than fell because it takes longer to say that diphthong and that glide to the L. Fail. Versus fell is going to be a little bit shorter. But the vowel should also be different. Don't just say fail and fail with the same e vowel. I think for many non-native speakers, they will say both of these words with the e vowel from their native language rather than using the e versus the a vowel. So you might find that easier, again, like I said, in words like red and gray. Those don't sound like each other too much. You might still be using the same vowel there, but red, gray, really feeling the difference that the A glides and the does not. So you can try practicing some short phrases like say, fail, and Ted fell, for example. The same thing is going to happen and help you for words like tell and tail. Notice how we have two spellings for tail. This is like an animal's tail with AI, and tell a tale like a story. The E makes the A say that A diphthong. Same thing with bail and bail. This is like a hay bale, and this is like bail that you pay to be released from jail, or bail as in to bail out a boat or to bail out of something, versus bell. Okay, so a lot of details here. My board's getting very full, but I really wanted to just give you some help with these vowels, and in particular these words that were requested by our viewer. You can get more help for both the eh and the a vowels in our videos for those vowels. I do have a number of other words talking about this videos talking about this contrast. For example, I have a video about pepper versus paper that you might find helpful. Also walk you through those vowel sounds. And you can get help for those vowels and all of the vowels of English in our Sounds of English course on speechmodification.com. It walks you through every vowel and every consonant sound, how they're spelled, what error patterns to watch out for, how to say them correctly, and what common words they're in. So it's a great resource to build a strong foundation to pronounce any word that you like in American English, and that's our Sounds of English course on speechmodification.com. I hope you'll check that out. Okay, welcome to everyone here. It's nice to see you. As I mentioned in the beginning, feel free to put your questions in the chat and I'll answer them for you live. You don't need to ask several times. You can just write it once. I will cover your requests. So it looks like we have a question about O at the beginning of words, and then we'll come to your word about Halloween in just a moment. Okay, so O at the beginning of words can be different depending on the word. So sometimes it's going to say the O diphthong, like in over or ocean. In these words, the O is stressed and it's is the true clear vowel, and the second syllable is unstressed. Over, ocean, the O is long and it's held longer. It can also say ah when it's stressed, like as in occupy. So O very often in a stressed syllable says the ah vowel. That's this vowel here, and it sounds like ah, q, pie, occupy. Again, it's stressed. And then in a word like occasional or occasion, the stress is not on the letter O, and there it's often going to say the vowel, so it sounds like occasion. So if the letter O is unstressed at the start of a word, it's often going to be the sound. This is something that I talk about again in my Sounds of English course, as well as I have a number of videos talking about letters versus sounds. And this also happens in words with PRO or CON or COM, that they can say O or ah or So you might find my videos for pronouncing those letters helpful as well. Hopefully that addressed your question though about O as ocean, or O as in occupy, or O as in occasion. Yes, thank you. That's a good question. So oftentimes we have difficulties with pronunciation and accent that come from our native language. It can also come from the fact that in spelling, in English, we are not consistent. So letter O can say many sounds. The different sounds can be spelled many different ways, and that's definitely challenging. Okay, we have a question about the word Halloween. So I do have a video for Halloween. If you're on the channel at Speech Modification, you can use the search box on my channel to find any of my existing videos. You can also leave comments on any video and I'll direct you to videos that I have. But let's talk about this word for you again. In Halloween, the stress falls on the ween syllable. The first letter A says the ah sound. So we have ha. This letter O says the schwa sound, ha, la, and then our stress comes the last syllable we have the E vowel. So I would write it kind of like this. Ha, la, ween. Halloween. Yeah, so I do have a video about Happy Halloween and just about the word Halloween, but that's how we break it down. Yes, thank you for that request. Do leave your questions and comments at any point on any video. I often will have a video or a resource for you that I can share. And of course, you can, if it's a word or a question I haven't answered before, I will add your word to my list to cover in a future Word of the Day video. Okay, we have a question about Yadavendra. I don't know what that is. So my guess would be Yadavendra, but if it's a name, it might be something different. It's not a word that I recognize in English. Maybe you can give me a little bit more detail about what you're looking for there. Okay, we have a question about the word riot. Let's look at that word. So in the word riot, my pens are not working very well today. Let me switch it out. The word riot is 2 syllables stressed on the first syllable. Letter I says the I diphthong. So we have ri, and then letter O is going to be the unstressed schwa. So it sounds like riot with the kind of sound here. And as I'm connecting between the I and the riot, you'll hear there's a little bit of a gliding y sound there. I don't need to say it strongly. I don't need an extra riot, and you won't see it in the dictionary. It's just the natural sound that happens with vowel to vowel linking. We have that glide connecting the two. So riot. Yeah, thank you for that request. And we have a question about the word orange. So talking about back to our topic of words that begin with O. So you're asking whether it says like orange. So when there's the letters OR, the dictionary will sometimes show it with this symbol for the symbol and the R symbol. That's a way of talking about how we say the diphthong or. I tend to write it this way because I think we start in that rounded O position. The difference between the and the O in the placement, if we look at the vowel quadrangle, we have O and O. O is a little higher than A. So for the A vowel versus the O diphthong, so if you open your mouth more and say orange, you can pronounce it that way. I think people tend to say more like orange. The to the sound, that's also a diphthong. So it's just a way of marking that that or sound. I think more people will say orange than orange. But you may hear both regional variations in American English. I personally say orange with more of an or glide. It is just kind of about how rounded the mouth is and how open it is at the start. So yeah, I would go with orange. Good question. Yeah, it is confusing. Depending on the dictionary, you'll see different ways of marking that or sound. But if you think about, for example, 4 oranges, I don't really say far oranges or 4 oranges. I use the same or in both of those two. Again, there may be some regional differences depending on where you are. So yes, good question. Okay, we have a question about the word etiquette. So I also have a video for etiquette. So in etiquette, we have first syllable stress. So letter E is going to say the sound. My T is going to be flapped. It'll sound more like a D. So etiquette. And then the QU in this case is a difference. Normally QU would be a qu sound, a k and a w. In etiquette, it's just a k sound, a k sound. And then you could say etiquette or etiquette. Most likely it's going to be an I sound. And again, this middle vowel, in the dictionary they're going to show it as an I sound probably. We might say it more like an a schwa. It's just a reduced vowel, so just don't use a clear vowel there. Use your length on and then short, etiquette. What's the etiquette here? Yes, great question, thank you. Okay, I'll take a couple more quick questions and then we'll wrap up for today. I do also want to let you know that I'll be live again tomorrow on a collaboration with the another channel that is a channel focused on helping English teachers, but I'll be talking about common pronunciation errors as well as taking questions, so you can attend that question and answer live as well. It'll be at an earlier time than I would normally be on air because it's a European channel, so it's at 1 p.m. GMT, so that's 5 a.m. West Coast time, 8 a.m. East Coast time here in the US. And you can go to my channel page on our community page and see a link for that. Also at the end of this video, the redirect will take you to the premiere for that live Q&A. So I hope you'll be able to join that as well as today. Or if you're watching this as a replay, remember that you can ask your questions for me in the replay, and also you'll have another opportunity tomorrow if you'd like to attend that live stream. Great. Okay, let's take a couple more questions and then we'll wrap up for today. So we're looking at, let's take a look at the word among. This was a recent request as well. Again, looking at letter A, at among. Does that have a U? It doesn't have a U. Letter A at the start of words, when it's unstressed, is going to have the schwa sound. So an mung. And then we have another stress schwa for the second vowel. So even though we spell these with an A and an O, similar to the word above, all of these O's and A's are all just the sound. One will be short and one will be long depending on what's stressed. So thinking about among, I would write it more like this. And to practice, I would start on the stressed syllable, mung, among. That's going to help you get the rhythm and help you get that unstressed short sound at the start. Thank you for that request. Okay, we have a question about whether native speakers say, have you ever been in a car accident? Have you ever been in this room? Can we use in instead of to? Yes, we would definitely say in if you've been in a car accident. We don't say to a car accident. That would be like you attended the car accident or you went there. If you were in the accident, you were involved. Have you ever been in this room? We would often say that too. Have you been in this room before? We usually would use to in that case is, have you been to this city before? Have you been to that event before? Have you been to that theater before? And you would use in if you're in the room at the moment. So have you ever been in this movie theater before? You're sitting in that movie theater. Have you been to the theater before when you're not there? So if I wasn't in the place, I wouldn't say, have you been in that room before? Unless we're talking about the interior of the room. So there is a difference between to and in, depending on if you were involved directly or not, if you're there in that moment or not, or if you're talking about whether or not they have visited a place or specifically been inside or in a place. Okay, great. So in terms of adequate, my video for etiquette that I mentioned before also covers adequate. So we'll look at adequate. Here we have the a vowel instead of the and then again the schwa This time QU does say qua, adequate, and we use a schwa there. So adequate, adequate, or adequate, adequate. I would say you can use an I there as well. So etiquette and adequate. So after class today, I'll give you a link for the more detailed video talking about those two words. Maybe you were the one who requested that, but I do take the requests for word of the day, and every day I have a new video covering your requests. Thanks so much for being here and for being a part of this class today. I hope to be able to see you again in tomorrow's live stream. Go to the channel page to get the link so that you can join for that at that earlier time. And I'll be back again next Saturday with our live question and answer class, as well as every day for the next days going forward with our word of the day. We also have several playlists to help you specifically for American intonation, pronunciation, sounds, names, all kinds of different pronunciations in English. So I hope you'll check those out. And as I mentioned earlier, on our website, speechmodification.com, we have online courses for the sounds of English, for the American accent, some more advanced and more basic courses, several courses which are free, and all of our courses are a low price for you. Do check out also on speechmodification.com our free resources and our free practice page. Many videos and lessons there to help you improve overall fluency in American English and specifically pronunciation and American accent. Thanks for watching this class today and being here live. I look forward to seeing you in our next class. I'm Christine Dunbar from speechmodification.com. Remember, if you want to sound like a native speaker, you can do it. speechmodification.com. Bye, everyone. Hope to see you again tomorrow.